According to multiple reports, the Toronto Blue Jays are expected to sell off most, if not all, of their expiring assets by this year's trade deadline. This season has been a total failure for them, and they do have some attractive pieces that may play parts in the trade discussion and may help out a contending team this season. But the Jays have no use for those types of players right now because they are not headed to the post. And it's just not looking good for them. So we'll break that down and much more on this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. What's up, everybody? Welcome into 3 Up, 3 Down. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis. Today we're going to be talking about the Toronto Blue Jays and their supposed approach at this year's trade deadline. Now, we don't have the crystal ball. We don't know who's going to get traded to where, and we don't know when that's going to happen. But with all the reports that we're hearing around Major League Baseball, whether it's from Jon Heyman, whether it's from John Morosi, or any notable reporter that is, they're coming out and saying that the Blue Jays are going to be sellers, and they're zeroing in on the fact that the Jays are probably going to sell off their expiring contracts, which is Yimi Garcia, Yusei Kikuchi, Danny Jansen. There are a few expiring deals on this team. Trevor Richards as well, and you could even throw Chad Green in the mix, who's 2 years removed, or 2 years away from free agency, I should say. But I think he's going to be a very attractive trade chip as well. The reason why I'm saying this, this came out just the other day from Mark Feinsand. According to sources, the Blue Jays have told other clubs that they are willing to move players with expiring contracts, but those with control beyond 2024 are not being traded. Now, I don't know if Chad Green is necessarily grouped into that same conversation with the expiring contract players, but that's definitely a step in the right direction if you're a Blue Jay fan, because there was a big fear surrounding the team that they would go out and not make those necessary changes. And the reason why they need to make these changes is this next screenshot that I'm about to show you guys. Truly unbelievable year for the Blue Jays pitching pipeline. Number one prospect, Ricky Tiedemann, forearm TBD. We don't know how long he's going to be out for, but he has missed the majority of the season. He's been in and out of the lineup with injuries, and not the kind of year that the Jays wanted to see from Ricky Tiedemann, especially considering all the hype. And he was even a dark horse candidate to be a big-time player on this team towards the end of the year, but that's not going to happen now. You got Brandon Barriera, elbow surgery. He's out for the season. Kendry Rojas, shoulder back, but he's pitched 16 1/3 inning, so not great there. Adam Macko, he's out for an extended period of time as well, who was having a great season in Double-A with the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. And then you have Landon Marutis, one of the top draft picks from last season for the Blue Jays, elbow surgery, out for the year. And let's add on top of that Aurelvis Martinez, who is suspended for 80 games for violating the league's performance-enhancing drug policy. So when it rains, it pours for the Blue Jays, and it's just been getting worse and worse. I know that they won last night. I know that they're still theoretically trying to make the playoffs, but that's not realistic. And even if they do, by some miracle, sneak into the playoffs, are they better than the Orioles? No. Are they better than the Houston Astros? No. Are they better than the Guardians, the Twins? Are they better than half of the teams in the American League this year? No shot. Yeah, I know the Yankees are struggling right now, but there's no way the Blue Jays are any better than, I'd put them ahead of maybe 5 teams in the American League with the way that they've been performing. So considering how bad the season has gone and the dire situation of it, there's like a 1% chance that they actually make the playoffs. And considering how bad the farm system has performed, when this was expected to be a big year for a lot of the top prospects, I think this points in the direction that the Blue Jays need to sell. And they need to find some assets in return for these expiring contracts, because I don't think Yimi Garcia is going to be back next season. I don't think Danny Jansen will be back next year. And Yusei Kikuchi, I like him a lot. I think he's a really good pitcher, and the Blue Jays should hold on to him, but what's the dollar figure going to be there? Is it going to make sense to bring him back? I think it does. and he said that he does want to come back, but is that something that's going to happen? We'll wait and see on that front. But the Blue Jays are not set up nicely for the future, and they're not set up nicely for the near future either. So they need to restock some of their farm system. They have the 24th ranked prospect pool in Major League Baseball right now, which I believe to be is a little bit generous. I don't see any impact names on that list. Yeah, okay, Addison Barger came up and contributed a little bit. Spencer Horwitz, if you want to count him as a prospect, has been great for the Blue Jays, one of the better stories this season. But apart from that, I mean, who's really come up and played a role for the Blue Jays? Leo Jimenez, maybe. He's been decent in decent playing time. He's probably going to get a lot more playing time now because Bo Bichette tweaked his calf yesterday on a throwback to second by Alejandro Kirk, and that's just the way that this season has gone for him. Looks visibly frustrated. I mean, not showing too much emotion out there, but it sucks the way that this season has unfolded, and you got to believe that if Bo was up to his standards, his lofty standards, that it may have turned out a little bit differently for this Blue Jays team, but it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be, and the season has not gone the way that they would have hoped for. Vladdy's had a nice bounce back, and he's looked good, but apart from that, apart from him, Spencer Horwitz and Ernie Clement, who's been really good lately, I can't really find any silver linings in this Blue Jays offense. The pitching has been okay. The starting pitching, that is. The bullpen is totally crapped out. It's been the worst in baseball. Ranked 29th, actually, so I'm being a little bit harsh on them. But just nothing's gone right for this Blue Jays team this year. And when something does go right, then it's a snowball effect, and other things start to pile on, and things start to go wrong. And that's just the way that it's gone. And it totally sucks. It totally sucks because there was big-time expectation coming into this season. They were involved in the Ohtani sweepstakes, and it just wasn't meant to be. And another injury that was sustained yesterday was Dalton Varsho, who is removed from the game on a slide to first with a left knee contusion, and don't know how much time he's going to miss. John Schneider came out and said after the game that it should be day-to-day, so not expecting it to be too serious on the DV front, but man, when it rains, it pours for the Blue Jays. I guess that's the best way I can put it. And hopefully that they do take the right approach this trade deadline and go ahead and make those moves and acquire some prospects. And I'm just going to say this before I end the video. Like, look at what the LA Dodgers gave up for Josh Fields. Yordan Alvarez, who is now arguably the best hitter in the game, or second best hitter in the game behind Aaron Judge. So it just shows you never know, even if you get a lottery ticket prospect in return, it's better than nothing. It's better than losing an impending free agent at the end of the season for nothing. So go out there and make those moves if you're the Blue Jays. Even if it's a lottery ticket prospect, you never know what you're going to get in return. I don't know how much faith I have in Ross Atkins in terms of trading for prospects, but we'll wait and see. So that'll wrap it up for this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. Thank you guys so much for making it this far. Shout out to baseballtown.ca for being a huge supporter of this channel. It would not be possible without them. So check out baseballtown.ca for all the equipment that you need in baseball, softball, bats, gloves, batting gloves, cleats, everything. We got you covered for the start of your season or the end of your season if some equipment starts to break down. But that'll wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for making it this far. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and give us your thoughts on the Toronto Blue Jays and what their approach should be at this year's trade deadline. But until tomorrow, enjoy the baseball, folks.